Hi guys, it's Kelly Latevola here, and I am back with another video for Simon Says Stamp. I'm very excited. Summer is here, warm weather is here. We just had a new release, which was fantastic, and this set is part of that new release. It's called Summertime Animals, and it's got a ton of super adorable images, but I really love images that are versatile. So I honed in on this little popsicle, and we're going to use that to make a bunch of different cards, and I'm going to show you how to color them all a little differently. So I stamped all those out with the Intense Black ink from Simon Says Stamp. That is Copic safe and waterproof, and it's a good all-around ink. Here I'm working on Canson watercolor paper, and I'm going to do a couple of watercolored popsicles before I move on to ones that I Copic colored. So here I just picked out a couple of distress inks that I liked the way that they worked together. I used Wilted Violet, Salty Ocean, where'd I go after that? Mustard Seed, Carved Pumpkin, and Picked Raspberry. Once I had all the color down with my ink blenders, I used a number 2 round brush to just add clean, clear water to the popsicles to give me that watercolor look. I'm rinsing in between each one so I don't cross-contaminate my colors. And this depends upon how much of a watercolor look you want. You can just go straight back and forth. You can go in and add like a dollop of water that'll push the ink out. I just went in and did them so they were like straight blended color. And then after they were dry, I went back in and added some spatters. Distress ink reacts with water, so if you put spatters on something that's colored with distress ink and then blot it up, it will remove the color. So I did the spatters, and then I'm going to use the same trick to actually remove the color from the popsicle sticks so I can color those like the old school wooden sticks after I'm done. Here, this is Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock, and I'm going to do some Copic coloring on them. I'm using a EK Success journaling pen to just add some details. I wanted some of them to look like they were candy coated or they were dipped in something. I decided as I was progressing, I kind of came up with a theme for each card. So this one I wanted to do like a strawberry coating. I picked some reds that I really liked, and then just kind of set to work how I was going to color them. I only did about 3 colors per popsicle, and that's because, you know, just the areas were smaller. It wasn't necessary to use, normally I use 4, to use all 4 colors. I didn't, even though I'm going to be fussy cutting these out, I didn't want to have to deal with a lot of bleeding, because especially with these candy coated ones, there is a section on there that is white, and so you don't want to have that bleeding. If you do have some bleeding, it's not the end of the world. Just use a colorless blender to push the color back where it's supposed to go. You should be okay. Here I was coloring this one like a dreamsicle, one more classic popsicle from, you know, at least when I was growing up anyway. So I just picked out a couple of oranges that I felt matched the original dreamsicle. I did a lot of Googling for how I colored my popsicles. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to make sure that I was going to have a good variety to be able to share with you guys. So if there, you know, was something maybe you didn't think of that you would maybe want to try. For this one, I was going for more of like a caramel or a, my personal favorite, butterscotch. I picked that up from my dad. He was a butterscotch. They look with a harder outer shell with the vanilla ice cream. Love that. I used to get all the time at Dairy Queen. But the colors that I picked made it look kind of like milk chocolate. So I brought in this YR24 and just covered the entire piece with it. It's a lot warmer, and so it gives it that more like caramel or butterscotch feel. Now I'm going to go I'm using the same colors that I used for the butterscotch one. I just transfer, like instead of using my lightest color, which was E53, I got rid of that and I added an E59 so that I would have a good dark chocolate covering. And I don't know about you, but like I'm totally hungry when I watch this video. Like I want to eat all of the popsicles because they're delicious. So once I had that done, that's when I decided I was going to start coloring some of the sticks in. So traditionally with these popsicles, it's a old school wooden stick. That's what I grew up with. So I colored them the base with an E55, and then I just went back in with the 57 and the 53 and just drew little lines. That's really all you need to get a look for a wood grain. You don't have to be very specific with it, and it'll just kind of come together itself. So for the white portion, or the vanilla ice cream, you have a couple of choices. I personally don't own all of the grays. There's neutral grays, toner grays, warm grays, and cool grays. I don't own the tuner. I'm making up my own words. I don't own the neutral or the toner grays. I own the warm and the cool. So I colored some with the warm and some with the cool just so you could kind of see the difference. I usually prefer the cool gray, but you do whatever works for you. As you can see here, they'll both give you that white look, but you want to color that sparingly and make sure that you leave actual white portions on your project, whatever it is you're coloring, whether it's a popsicle or a cloud. If you're coloring something white, leave white in it. Here we're going to do a bomb pop. Again, that was a classic popsicle that I would buy from the ice cream man when I was growing up. And so I put down my two darkest colors, and then I started blending them out with some lighter ones. And then for the center, I did a C1 and just kind of blended everything together. But I felt like it was a little too gray in the center. So I went back in with my colorless blender and just kind of removed some of that color. And then the lighter shade of red, which was an R32, and the lighter shade of blue, which was a B00, I went back in and added those so that everything, kind of blended back in again. And I was actually really happy with the way that it looked. Sometimes when you're working with colors that are so opposite, it can be very difficult to get them to blend. But with that band of white in the middle, it really just kind of helped everything out. So I didn't get like a weird purple. Here, these are the Pinterest popsicles that I look at and I'm like, those are so adorable, but then I will never make. Like, I will think about them and I will pin them and then I'll move on with my life and I will never actually do them. Raise your hand if you're with me. So here, these ones are going to have fruit in them, which I think is like really beautiful in the photography of them. So I wanted to try to recreate that. Here we're going to do a kiwi in a strawberry popsicle. So I mean, I'm freehanding it here, folks, and I promise you it wasn't hard because I cannot draw at all, like not even a smidge. So I just did a light green circle and then I just added little dots of shading for my kiwi, and it actually turned out pretty okay. Like, shocking news. For the strawberry portion of it, I added minimal shading just around the edges, and then this one I'm going to do a vanilla, I guess, quote unquote, a white popsicle. So I'm adding that little bit of shading with the gray, and then I'm going to put strawberries in it. This one I didn't like the way they turned out as well. The image that I had looked at was on Pinterest, so on the internet, and it was sliced strawberries, which totally makes sense. That's how you would make this popsicle, but I really couldn't make them look as strawberry as I would like. I don't know, maybe I should have went darker, but the inside of a strawberry isn't dark, so I kind of struggled with this one a little bit. I still think that it gives the idea of what I was going for and that's sufficient, but they're not all going to work out. You call it what it is and move on. Another one of these, like, I wanted to do maybe like a blueberry one. I thought would be super cute to do. Just anything, any kind of fruit that you put in a popsicle. I just thought that they were really cute. And here we're going to turn this one into basically like a watermelon on a stick. So we're going to do the red portion of the watermelon, and then where I don't even know what you call it. I guess it's still part of the rind. It's a white portion before the green. So I just did a little bit of shading with the C1 on each side, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the green on the bottom to, mimic that rind portion, the outer portion of a watermelon. And then I used a C3 to draw in the seeds, because this is really what's going to make it look watermelon. Those seeds are the dead giveaway. So I just drew very lightly little teardrop shapes, and then I went back in with a C5 and I added some darker shading, but just to some of them. because as you know, when you cut open a watermelon, sometimes the seeds are buried deeper, so they're more faint. For my last one that's going to go on the classic card, I like racked my brain about what I would buy from the ice cream, like legitimately from the ice cream truck. Like my parents had a pool when I was growing up. We were always in the pool. You would hear the ice cream truck coming around. You would jump out of the pool soaking wet, grab your 75 cents and run to catch the ice cream truck. And one of the things that my girlfriend always got was the Superman. And it wasn't shaped like Superman back then, like the big S. It was just the yellow, red, and blue ice cream. So that's how I decided to go with that. Here I wanted to show you, after your watercoloring is dry, you can totally mix your mediums. So I added some little bit of shading to the Popsicles with my Copics, how you would traditionally see an old school Popsicle that had the little lines in it. And I did eventually go back and round out the tops just because I felt like it looked a little weird with just the lines. I always outline my images. This is just a personal preference thing. It isn't necessary, especially with the intense black, which is so much darker than like a Memento tuxedo black ink. It's not necessary. It's just something I prefer to do because I like a bold outline. So I did that. I finished coloring in the rest of my sticks, and then I added a white, that shine part of the Popsicle. I filled that in with my white gel pen, and then I went ahead and fussy cut out all of these images. This set does have dies, so if you're into the white border, you can totally pick up the dies and make your life a little bit easier. I personally like them fussy cut, so that's what I did. After they were all cut out, I used a Memento tuxedo black marker to color the sides of them to make sure none of that white was going to be peeking through. When you're doing this, make sure you're not using an alcohol-based marker because then it'll bleed into your image. We don't want that. So use something that's water-based. So these are all of the Popsicles paired off and set apart, and now we're going to work on the base of our cards. I wanted something that was going to be very simple. My preferred style is clean and simple card making. So I wanted something that was going to really highlight those images because they're just so cute. They're adorable. So what I ended up doing was very lightly, I mean, I'm not pushing it all, putting on my distress ink, and then doing that same kind of spatter trick. Now, this isn't watercolor paper, so I did not put a lot of water on there. But after I did the initial clean clear water, I got some Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearl. I remember the first time I ever heard Jennifer McGuire say that, and I'm like, Perfect Pearl, that's what it says. Why would she keep saying Perfect Pearls? Because, dude, that's actually the name of it. Like, there's other ones out there that are not that name, just so you know. So I did that just so that my background would have a little bit of shine and some more texture. You can blot it up. It's not going to take your shine away, I promise. It's still going to be shiny after you blot up the excess water. So I did this for all four of my card bases, and I'm just going to show you the colors that I used. That one was Salty Ocean. For the green, I wanted the splatters to show up, and I was worried if I just used the Twisted Citron, it wouldn't be dark enough to show the splatters. So I did my initial center with Mowed Lawn, and then brought in the Twisted Citron to kind of bring that out to the edges. So that way my base at least would be dark enough to really let those water droplets kind of stand out. So after that one was Abandoned Coral, because I felt like it matched the reds that I had chose, and I did them all the same way. And now here I just went through a couple of different Simon stamp sets that I had and picked out some sentiments that I thought worked really well with these. This one is from Simon & Dexter, and it says, I love you more than treats. I'm going to go ahead and pop the images up on some foam tape and adhere them. When you're doing this, this is the Scotch foam tape, and you're adhering anything like this in the 3s or 5s or whatever, start with your center one. Start with that center one and then work out, because if you try to start to the left or to the right, it's really, really hard to get center placement. So start with that middle one and then work out to the left or the right. And even here, I was like, my spacing was weird, so I was kind of playing around with that a little bit. Once I was happy with the way that it looked, we're going to go in and add those little extra things. We're going to do some Wink of Stella and then also some glossy accents. So I put the Wink of Stella on the vanilla portion of it, and then I'm going to coat the whole topping in glossy accents. For all of the other Popsicles, I coated the whole Popsicle in glossy accents. Some of the times I put Wink of Stella underneath it, sometimes I didn't. I just kind of played around with it until I was, happy with the way that it looked. But each one has a different sentiment from a different stamp set. And I just love how like versatile this is. So like I love you more than treats, could be Valentine, a little encouraging note to your significant other. You could do this one is Hello Summer, so just like a hi, friends make life a little sweeter. That one is from the Friends Make Life a Little Sweeter is from the what is it called? Labeled with Love Simon stamp set. And then the You're So Cool, which we did with the rainbow popsicles, is from Ice Cream Dream, which was another set that they released last summer. You could do like for the sweetest couple, for engagement or a wedding. There's just a lot of options with such a simple image, and they all look completely different. And I love that because I love getting more out of what I already own. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you guys learned something and maybe give it a try with some of your simpler images. And I will catch you on the next video. Bye.